long before Oxford, long before Cambridge, long before Europe even imagined universities. There existed a place where thousands of students lived, studied, debated, and researched together. That place was Nalanda. Often called the world's first university, Nalanda was not a myth or a legend. It was a real institution that flourished in ancient India, and its scale, organization, and intellectual ambition would not be matched anywhere in the world for centuries. Nalanda was founded around the 5th century CE in present-day Bihar, India, during the reign of the Gupta Empire. By that time, India was already a global center of learning, but Nalanda took education to an entirely new level. This was not just a school. It was a fully residential university. Nalanda had large campuses with monasteries and classrooms, dormitories housing over 10,000 students, more than 2,000 teachers and scholars, a centralized administration, a structured curriculum, and one of the greatest libraries the ancient world had ever seen. Students came from across Asia, China, Korea, Tibet, Central Asia, and Southeast Asia. Some traveled for years just to study there. Admission was extremely competitive. Historical records tell us that only about 20% of applicants were accepted. Entrance examinations were rigorous, and scholars at the gates tested students orally before allowing them to enter. Nalanda taught far more than religion. Subjects included philosophy, logic and debate, grammar and linguistics, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, politics, and statcraft. Buddhist studies were central, but Nalanda was intellectually pluralistic. Hindu philosophies, Jain ideas, and secular sciences were all taught side by side. One of Nalanda's greatest treasures was its library complex, known as Dharmaganya. It consisted of 3 massive buildings, including one said to be 9 stories high. The library housed hundreds of thousands of manuscripts, copied by hand and preserved with extraordinary care. Chinese monk Xuanzang, who studied at Nalanda in the 7th century, left detailed accounts of its academic life. He described daily debates that lasted for hours, with scholars fiercely challenging each other's ideas, not with weapons, but with logic. Knowledge was not memorized. It was argued, tested, and refined. For nearly 700 years, Nalanda thrived. Empires rose and fell, but the university remained a beacon of learning, supported by royal patronage and respected across Asia. Then came the catastrophe. In the late 12th century, invading forces led by Bakhtiyar Khilji attacked the region. Nalanda was destroyed. Its libraries were set on fire. According to historical accounts, the manuscripts burned for months. Centuries of accumulated knowledge, philosophy, science, medicine, astronomy, turned to ash. With Nalanda's destruction, one of humanity's greatest intellectual centers vanished. Europe would not see universities of comparable scale and organization until hundreds of years later. So was Nalanda truly the first university in the world? By modern definitions, a residential campus, structured curriculum, centralized administration, international students, and formal teaching, yes. Nalanda fits the model better than any earlier institution. Earlier centers like Taxila were brilliant hubs of learning, but they lacked a unified campus and institutional structure. Nalanda was different. It was systematic, organized, global. Nalanda proved something powerful. Advanced education did not begin in medieval Europe. It flourished in Asia centuries earlier. Today, the ruins of Nalanda stand quietly. Broken walls, scattered bricks, and silent courtyards. But its legacy lives on. Nalanda reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge is one of humanity's oldest ambitions, and that when learning is destroyed, the loss is felt for generations. If you enjoyed this story of forgotten greatness, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because history is not just about what survived, but also about what we lost.